Okay, so when you hear the word Botox, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably smoothing out wrinkles, right? But what if I told you its most incredible effect might not be on our skin, but actually deep inside our brains? Today, we're diving into the pretty stunning scientific link between Botox and the brain.
And that brings us to this one big question that really gets to the heart of it all. Is it possible that a procedure designed to change how we look on the outside could actually change how we feel on the inside? Well, according to a growing number of scientists, the answer just might be yes.
And this really shows you the two sides of the coin here. On one hand, you've got the popular view. It's about wrinkles, it's cosmetic, it's, well, superficial. But on the other side, a whole new scientific view is emerging, one that looks at Botox as a neurotoxin that might just have the power to impact the brain circuits involved in depression.
And I want to be super clear here, this isn't just some fringe idea someone cooked up. It's actually being tested right now as an experimental treatment in clinical trials for major depressive disorder. I mean, that's a massive leap, right? We've gone from a wild what-if to serious, legitimate scientific investigation.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. To really understand how we got here, we have to look at the evidence. And that starts with a landmark clinical trial from back in 2012 that really put this whole idea on the map.
The idea behind the study was honestly so simple but kind of genius. The researchers focused on what's called the glabella region. That's just the fancy term for the muscles between your eyebrows. You know, the ones that make you frown. The huge question they wanted to answer was, if we can temporarily paralyze those specific muscles, could that actually reduce the symptoms of depression?
And to find out, they designed a really rigorous experiment. They used what's called a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, which is basically the gold standard in medical research. What it means is that neither the patients nor the doctors knew who was getting the real Botox and who was getting a harmless saline placebo. And that's so important for making sure the results aren't biased.
So what did they find? Well, the results were pretty striking. The group that got the actual Botox shot saw a way bigger drop in their depression scores compared to the placebo group. In fact, a lot of patients in the Botox group even hit what's called remission, which means their symptoms had pretty much disappeared.
Which of course brings us to the million-dollar question. It just seems wild, doesn't it? How on earth could relaxing a few tiny muscles between your eyebrows have such a huge impact on something as complex as depression?
So, let's talk about the how. How is this even possible? Well, researchers have come up with two main theories to explain this surprising connection, and honestly, they're both fascinating. The answer seems to boil down to two leading ideas. The first one is all about the powerful link between our faces and our feelings, the whole body influences the mind concept. And the second one suggests something even more direct, that the injection can literally alter our brain's wiring. Let's break them both down.
So the facial feedback idea is actually pretty intuitive when you think about it. You feel sad, you frown. You feel worried, you frown. This theory says that the physical act of frowning isn't just a result of your emotion, it actually reinforces it, creating a feedback loop. So if Botox makes it physically harder to frown, it might just break that loop and, over time, actually soften those negative feelings.
But it gets even deeper than that. Neuroimaging studies, brain scans, are showing that these injections can actually change the activity in key emotion centers of the brain, like the amygdala. Think of the amygdala as your brain's alarm system for fear and anxiety. This suggests that changing the muscle signals from your face might genuinely be reshaping how your brain processes emotions. It's incredible.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, wow, this data is so promising. Why isn't this a common treatment for depression? And that's a great question. This is where we need to pump the brakes a little and take a look at the reality of where the research stands right now.
So it's really important to remember that while all this is exciting, the science is still young. Most of the studies so far have been pretty small, they haven't followed patients for that long, and we just don't have a lot of direct comparisons to standard treatments. These are some pretty big limitations we can't ignore.
And for all those reasons, let's be crystal clear. Botox is not an approved first-line treatment for depression, not even close. Right now, experts consider it an unconventional option, something to maybe consider only in cases where other well-established treatments haven't worked. It is absolutely not the first thing to try.
So what that all means is that anyone even thinking about this has to do it under the care of a qualified doctor. It means a full psychiatric assessment, a deep dive into what treatments have and haven't worked before, and a very, very clear conversation that this is still experimental. This is a serious medical decision, not a cosmetic one.
Okay, so let's just zoom out for a second. Beyond all the specifics of Botox, what is this whole field of research really telling us? Because it really opens up a window into something much, much bigger.
And I think this quote just nails it. This research is such a powerful reminder that our minds and our bodies are not separate things. They're totally intertwined. Our emotions are literally embodied. The expressions we make don't just show how we feel, they can actively shape how we feel.
And all of this leaves us with a really provocative final thought to chew on. The very idea that just relaxing a tiny group of muscles in the face could help loosen the grip of depression. Well, it suggests that the future of mental health treatment might look very different. It challenges all of us to think bigger and to realize that the key to well-being might just be hidden in that amazing, intricate connection between our bodies and our minds.